विदिताखिलशास्त्रसुधा जलधे महितोपनिषत् कथितार्थनिधे हृदये कलये विमलं चरणम् भव शङ्कर देशिक मे शरणम् भव शङ्कर देशिक मे शरणम् करुणावरुणालय पालय माम् भवसागर दुःखविदून हृदम् रचयाखिल दर्शन तत्त्वविदम् भव शङ्कर देशिक मे शरणम् भव शङ्कर देशिक मे शरणम् भवता जनता सुखिता भविता निजबोध विचारण चारुमते कलयेश्वर जीव विवेक विदम् भव शङ्कर देशिक मे शरणम् भव शङ्कर देशिक मे शरणम् भव एव भवानिति मे नितराम् समजायत चेतसि कौतुकिता मम वारय मोह महाजलधिम् भव शङ्कर देशिक मे शरणम् भव शङ्कर देशिक मे शरणम् सुकृते भिकृते बहुधा भवतो भविता समदर्शन लालसता अतिदीनमिमं परिपालय माम् भव शङ्कर देशिक मे शरणम् भव शङ्कर देशिक मे शरणम् जगतीमवितुं कलिता कृतयो विचरन्ति महामहसच्चलतः अहिमां शूरिवात्र विभाति
Hari Om. Since we are meeting for the first time, Happy New Year, Happy Pongal, and Happy today. Because we are starting with the evening sessions with a new text again. How many of you are very new here for the first time? Welcome. I was not going to ask you any questions. I was like very scared. So let us begin with the prayer. Sahana Bhavatu and Guru Brahma. ॐ सहनाववतु सहनौ भुनक्तु सह वीर्यङ्करवावहै तेजस्विनावधीतमस्तु मा विद्विषावहै ॐ शान्ति शान्ति शान्तिः गुरुर्ब्रह्मा गुरुर्विष्णुः गुरुर्देवो महेश्वरः गुरुरेव परं ब्रह्मा तस्मै श्री गुरवे नमः तस्मै श्री गुरवे नमः Welcome to this evening satsangs. We have seen a couple of Upanishads. We have seen various texts in these evening lectures. So I thought after Kathopanishad that I'll take it up a notch higher. One of the most beautiful texts is this Drg Drishya Viveka. It is considered among the lists of preliminary texts before going into Prasthanatrayi. Prasthanatrayi, Upanishads, Bhagavad Gita and Brahma Sutras. And of the Prakarana texts, this is held with great reverence because it offers nothing but no nonsense, pure straight logic. And in Advaita Vedanta, there are many such stalwarts who have given such literature. Of them, the greatest is Bhagavan Adi Shankaracharya ji himself. You have heard of him, right? Adi Shankaracharya. Your head movements are very confusing. Yes, no. Very confusing. So Adi Shankaracharya ji, traditionally by those who have written his biographies, there are about 13 or 14 biographies, which is called Shankara Digvijayam. Traditionally they believe that Adi Shankaracharya ji was born about 500 BC. And he was born in God's own country. That's how they claim it these days. Do you know where I'm talking about? Kerala. And Kerala is such a beautiful tropical area which has strong roots of traditions. In fact, our lineage of tradition of Chinmaya Mission whether you look at Gurudev or his Guru Maharaj, Tapon Maharaj, or the Diksha Guru, which is Swami Shivanandji, they all hail from Kerala. So does Adi Shankaracharya ji also. In fact, the very house that he was born in, not the place where he grew up in, the place where he grew up in is Kaladi, but the place where he was born in, his maternal house, is in a place called Veliyanad. And that house, for these many centuries, up until 1980s, late 1980s, it belonged to the lineage or the family of Adi Shankaracharya ji. In 1980, because of their financial constraints, it became a public knowledge that they were going to sell that entire property. And whenever such traditional homes with such great lineage are sold in the market, have you gone to Udaipur, Jaipur and such places? All those big palaces, what have they become? Hotels. So you will find that even in Kerala, such traditional homes are often offered as those exotic places to live in. And there were plans of somebody buying it. And as soon as Puja Gurudev came to know this, he said, whatever is the market value, increase it by 10 times and buy that property. We want to maintain that tradition of Adi Shankaracharya. Because this particular generation may not recognize the contributions of this great master. Seldom it be used for some menial purposes. And since then, it was the hub for our Chinmaya Mission research study called Chinmaya International Foundation, where there is a lot of Indology, Indic studies, and Sanskritam research. Some of the most ancient manuscripts, they have a manuscript section wherein they are saving these manuscripts, getting them from all over the world actually. They have about 3,000-4,000 manuscripts, and the most ancient one is about 600 BC. And to maintain them is quite costly. It's not easy. So that they don't just, they're so brittle that they just powder in your hands if you don't know how to handle them. And now, today, which is about 1 week ago, that the Indian government finally came across to give permission to launch Chinmaya Vishwavidyalaya or Vishwavidyapeeth. And now it is official that Adi Shankaracharya ji's place of birth will be the head office for the Chinmaya Vishwavidyapeeth, wherein it will launch a university in studying the scriptures, studying Sanskrit, and various other aspects. Now, less about what we do with his property. Let us know more about his life. His father and mother, Shivaguru and Aryamba, it is said that they did not have children for a long time. And on one morning, Aryamba woke up with a very strange dream. And she turned to her husband and wanted to share that dream. And the husband started narrating that same dream. And they both had same dream, as if somebody had plugged in, a splitter and put it in both of their heads to have the same dream. And there was a choice that they had to make in that dream. The choice was, you have not been blessed with a child. Do you want a child who is worthless but lives long? Or do you want a child who is going to be an amazing, brilliant person, but he will live a very short life of 16 years only? And incidentally, both parents chose to have the one who is blessed with only 16 years, and thus was born in a short while. And he was named Shankara. By the time he was about 2.5, 3 years old, living in an environment where education, teaching was a regular part, he seemed to pick things very fast. So they introduced him to the Aksharabhyasa, introduction of syllables and vocabulary and other things in a very traditional way. And pretty soon he could, devour books after books. Like, he would read them. Like, is there a book that you picked up that you couldn't put it down? Any such good novel that you read recently? Example, I'm asking. Harry Potter, okay. So Harry Potter, once you pick, so Adi Shankaracharyaji's Harry Potters were these scriptures that he would just sit there, keep reading through them. And he was barely 3.5, 4 years old, and he would read through these books. And while he was barely 3.5 years old, he also lost his father, and he was raised by a single parent. His mother raised him and put him in a Gurukula. Gurukula is something like a residential kind of an environment that the student goes and lives with the guru and learns. And every so often in between they have breaks and they come back. One such break, he asked, "Mom, I need your permission." I said, "What do you want to do? Where do you want to go?" I said, "I want to give up this, worldly life." Imagine a 6, 7-year-old coming to you and saying, "I'm thinking of taking sannyas. I'm thinking of renouncing the world." What would your reaction be? Give them a toy or give them something to eat or jakhil. You'll not take it that seriously. How serious can a child who is barely 6, 7 years old have a grip about understanding life, understanding the world to live in, and then to renounce it? Then by the time he was about 8 years old, I don't know if he played a trick or Vidhi or the Almighty helped his course, that he was taking shower. And in those days there were no bathrooms or shower heads in the bathrooms. They would all go to the nearest pond or a lake. So the nearest river that was running through Kaladi, even today if you go there, it is barely to your waist height. And alligators or crocodiles are not found in shallow waters. They're usually in deep waters. And he goes there, he was swimming, and he starts shouting that a crocodile has caught him. And it is almost his last moments of life. And in the last moments of his life, instead of asking to be saved, he says, "Oh mother, instead of panicking about my life," they say that in the last breath of your life, if you renounce the world, there are a lot of punya. Why don't you give me that permission? And in that utter sheer panic, she also said, "Tathastu." Maybe it's so. As soon as she gave him the permission, he walks out and he says, the crocodile just left me the moment you gave me this permission. There are a lot of people that interpret that the Maya is like the crocodile, and the moment you have the intense desire to learn that knowledge through renouncing the world, that Maya loses its grip. So he came out, and the mother stood by her word, and he went in search of his guru. And it is said that, and there are various stories that go around how he met his guru. One of the most interesting ones, the most inspiring ones, is this 8-year-old comes to Sri Bhagavad Padacharya ji, Govinda Bhagavad Padacharya ji, and then he says, I have come here to renounce the world and I need you to initiate me into sannyasa. Now that guru was a little taken aback. Have you informed at your house? Where are you from? And this was way what today would be called as borders of Gujarat and Madhya Pradesh, where Narmada meets. It was there. So from Kaladi, way in south, he had walked all the way up to meet his guru. And he was very insistent about receiving it. So instead of rejecting him, he said, let me give him a big task so that it will keep him occupied. And if he is not very serious, he will himself run away from the ashram. It happens even in Vedanta course. At least every batch has 1 or 2 of them. That when you go sleeping, they are there in the ashram. When you wake up, you suddenly come to know that they ran away. तुम्हारे बैच में हुआ था? हमारे बैच में भी हुआ था. We're sharing notes, comparing notes. So he thought, maybe if he's not very serious, he will leave the ashram himself. I don't need to put an effort to tell him that you're not qualified. So he thought for a while and said, have you heard of Vishnu Sahasranama? So this energetic young boy, he said, I can chant it for you. So if you have memorized it, I want you to browse through various scriptures and give me your commentary on each word of that Vishnu Sahasranama. So this boy sincerely went back, found a secluded corner and started writing. Do you know how many days it took him? Or months? It took him, he finished that entire commentary overnight. There are many people that I know who have gotten PhDs trying to research on a certain pattern that has evolved in that commentary. And he effortlessly wrote that commentary overnight. And it was not like a simple word-to-word meaning. Vishwam, world. Vishnu, one of the names of Lord Vishnu. He has an introduction which is profound. And every word as he is explaining, when you go through the entire commentary, he has referred to about 13 different Upanishads. He has referred to various aspects of the Vedas, both the Purva Mimamsa as well as the Uttara Mimamsa, which is the Upanishad. Then he has referred to various scriptures like Mahabharata, Ramayana, and different Puranas, that this particular word was used in this particular scripture in this particular instance, meaning that this could give this kind of a meaning. But here in this flow, probably it is this scripture that can be quoted. And he quotes that left and right. And all that he did it in under a night. And next day morning, when his guru had finished his puja and other things, he goes, submits this, and he says, "I finished the commentary." It took the Guru to read through, Govinda Bhagavad Padacharya to read through everything meticulously, probably 2-3 days. Having gone through half of it, he called for young Shankara and he said that it will be my privilege to give you sannyasa. And thus he was initiated into sannyasa. Then he spent with his Guru, and again there are lots of commentaries that talk about what he may have done. One of the most profound things that comes across is he was, after a long period of gap, he did the same job which Vedavyasji had did. So he wrote down the entire Vedic literature as a fresh copy, so that people would have this Vedic literature to write it down or to understand it or to memorize it. People spend entire lifetime to memorize it, and he did that in a couple of years. Then, with the permission of his Guru, he went across for the first time Bharat Darshan. When I say Bharat Darshan, it is not like there is a travel agent and you have nice hotels booked and nice food supplied, and you have cars and flights and itinerary prepared. The only means, especially for a sannyasi in those days, was the trusted 2 feet. So he walked across the entire length and breadth of Bharatavarsha. Bharatavarsha, not the India that we know today, the greater India. Various corners that he traveled. And then he realized that the only way to inspire people to bring in a change in their life is through educating them. And there were a lot of tangential streams of thought, lot of different schools of thought that had percolated into the Hindu society, that it was very difficult for an ordinary person to weed out what is tradition, what is prescribed, what is not prescribed. Everything and anything based out of conveniences had become a part of life, had become a part of tradition. And in order to weed that out, in those ancient days, they had a very brilliant system that if you do not agree with, or if you have a challenging view than somebody who is prescribing a tradition, you could call them out for a debate. And there was a precursor or a presupposition that was unwritten, is whoever defeats the other person logically in the debate, it's pure logic. Whoever defeats the other person in the debate, that person who has lost should shun away the tradition that they are in and accept the tradition that has defeated them recently. And the system that you go through is something like when you do your PhDs in today's world, that you have to write your thesis and then you have to defend it. There's a panel of them who will evaluate it. Similarly here, there is that process of evaluation. And Bhagavan Adi Shankaracharya ji, step by step, went from the southernmost to the northernmost, knocked on various doors of different traditions, and he was barely a teenager who would knock on these great traditions and knock them out. And he traveled across. And there is Vidyaranya Swami's biographical account on his life, wherein he says that his health was also not that great. He did not actually take good care of his health because he was so single-pointedly focused about reaching across to these masses and bringing this knowledge of the true nature of one's own self as the most focused point which alone can liberate anybody. And while establishing this, he has written various compositions. I have his complete works printed, and this size books, I mean, I'm talking of the length of it, not the width, but wider books. There are about 14 books in fine print, 14 books worth that he has written in his entire life. And his entire life's worth work can be put in various categories. The first category is the compositions or books like these, which are called Prakarana Grantha. These Prakarana Granthas are Tattva Bodha, Atma Bodha, Drg Drishya Viveka, Viveka Chudamani, Upadesha Sahasri. And yesterday we were discussing, and Yatindra was saying that Upadesha Sahasri is like Vivek Chudamani on steroids. And it's a well-researched work. And there are many such Prakarana Granthas that he has composed. Added to that, name any god or goddess, any deity. He has a stotra dedicated to that particular deity. Ganesha Pancharatna. Do you know Ganesha Pancharatna? How does it begin? Wow. Mudakarartha modakam sada vimukti sadakam. Whether it is Shiva, different aspects of Shiva, Kala Bhairava, Annapurna Devi, Saraswati, you name any deity and there are at least one stotra. On the top of it, there are some amazing bhakti texts that he has written. The most prominent one of them is the Saundarya Lahari, which is talking about the greatness of Mother Divine. These are his bhakti texts. Then there are those books which can be talked about as spontaneous outbursts. We have already done one text like that. Do you remember which one? Bhaja Govindam. You said Keno, please? Man, I'm hurt. Deeply hurt. So Bhaja Govindam, you may have heard the rendition of M.S. Subbalakshmi. M.S. Subbalakshmi ji has chanted both Vishnu Sahasranamam and it's a very old and a very profound one, that even today when you go to sacred places like Badrinath or Dwaraka, the first thing early in the morning that is played is M.S. Subbalakshmi's voice and that Vishnu Sahasranama being chanted. So Bhaja Govindam is one of those spontaneous outbursts. There is one that he composed when he was hardly 6-7 years old. The story goes that he had gone out in Bhiksha while he was still at Gurukula, and this mother comes out with tears in her eyes saying, "Son, wish I had something to give you. All that I have is this dry amla." Amla is gooseberries, dried one, that with few pieces. He was so touched by her sincerity that he stood there, and a spontaneous outburst that he requested the blessings of goddess Lakshmi Devi, and it is believed that in that house there were rain of gooseberries which were made of gold, and I have had the privilege to visit that house. Those people who belong to that lineage, I've had an opportunity to visit that house. Kanakadhara Stotram. There is one more beautiful one which happened in Kashi, where his outbursts, people have compiled it and called it Manisha Panchakam. So that is one category in itself. And the fourth most important one are his commentaries, which he started from Vishnu Sahasranama. He covered various aspects of commentaries on Upanishads, Bhagavad Gita and Brahma Sutras. There are some texts that he has commented like Sanat Sujatiyam. There are, on the top of all of this, he was also an administrative genius. He established 4 different ashrams in 4 corners of India. One in Sringeri, second one in Dwarka, third one in Puri, Jagannath Puri, and the fourth one in Jyotirmath, which is about 100 kilometers down from Badrinath. And he has also written how can one be a good administrator and an organizer, Peethamnaya and Mathamnaya, how to run these ashrams. And if you read through it, he was like a thorough administrator. Who to select, how to raise funds, how to channelize those funds, how to employ those funds in such a way that they are recurring benefit for the society as well as for sustaining the ashram. And he was thorough. And if you go as a yatra from southernmost tip to the northernmost, there is not a single temple which does not have a history where Adi Shankaracharya ji has not touched its core. He rebuilt all these temples, or he was a cause for rebuilding all these temples. As far east as Kamakhya in Assam, and there is one in today's Pakistan, it is claimed that Adi Shankaracharya ji visited that too. In Kashmir, how many of you have watched Mission Kashmir? If you are wondering what is Mission Kashmir, that song Boomro Boomro, that one. Have you watched it? So there is a plot to blow up a mountain. The base of that mountain, there is an army camp. Do you remember which mountain it is? It is called the Shankara mountain. On the top of it is the Sharada Pitha. Kashmir was supposed to be thriving with scholarly people in those days. Now they are all kicked out, but 25, 26 years ago, and they have been not allowed to stay in those days. So he has traveled far and wide, and he has traveled multiple times, and all this under a sweet short span of 32 years. And if there is somebody that can be claimed as a man of achievement, it is this individual, who started out when he was probably a teenager, and by the time he reached 32, he already quit his body. And between that, he had traveled across India. For many of us, to travel across by foot that many times in itself will be a big deal. While traveling, he has composed these many things. While composing, I don't think he had ever an opportunity to sit down, compose, write. Probably he was just walking, and there must have been people to scribe, and then he would keep dictating. And probably he would have multiple scribes, that there will be one thought flow going here and another thought flow, there will be people writing it as he was walking. And on the top of it, to establish these administrative hubs and have trained, tutored people who could further enhance all that which he had established to a greater height. So today, if we look back, our lineage, that we already have now, what? Third in Chinmaya mission. So we'll have to start from Swarupanandji, then his guru, Tejomayanandji, his guru, Swami Chinmayanandji, his guru, Swami Tapovanam Maharaj, his, and there, Gurudev got Diksha, Sannyas Diksha from Swami Shivanandji. And Shivanandji took his Diksha from Sringeri. And Sringeri was established by Adi Shankaracharya ji. Adi Shankaracharya's guru is Govinda Bhagavat Padacharya. Govinda Bhagavat Padacharya's guru. And I can trace back to almost a history, a profound history of 8,000 years. 8,000 years of this knowledge being transferred from guru to Sishya. That which you are connected to today through this dialogue, how ancient is this tradition? It's about 8,000 years old. Such profound tradition and such deep knowledge. And when I say deep knowledge, we will see it through this Drg Drishya Viveka. Now, before going into Drg Drishya Viveka, what is the prayojana or what is the purpose of this Drg Drishya Viveka? As it says in the title itself very clearly, there are three words there. Drg Drishya Viveka. What is the translation of the word Viveka? Viveka translated means discrimination. Now, in this country, that word has been indiscriminately used. That it has dark, shady corners of understanding for it. But the true meaning of discrimination is to understand the difference between that which is necessary and that which is not. I'm putting it in a very simple manner. How do you eat a banana? It's not a trick question, it's a simple question. Peel what? Go through the whole process. Peel whose skin off? The banana, okay. It seemed very violent. Peel the skin off. And if you ask a dancer, they would probably stand on one foot first and then you peel the skin and then eat the fruit inside. What happens to the peel? You discard it. How? I did not ask. You discard it. I always go through this in my head. Does anybody ever have any kind of emotional entanglement with the peel? Oh, peel. If not for you, this fruit inside would not have been protected, traveled across, reached to the store, and from there I procure it. If not for you, is there any kind of sentimental value attached to it? Its purpose is done and it is discarded. There, are you not applying this discrimination of that which is required is taken, that which is not required, it is discarded. Now, taking this to more subtler understanding, In life, whenever we were in a chaotic situation and we reflect upon such situations, those confusions occur, isn't it because we have lost clarity between what is priority and what is not? And most of the times, it is because we are entangled in that which is not a priority, is what causes our immediate confusion, suffering, or sorrow born thereof. So, the key in our life through every experience is to maintain this discriminatory knowledge, to understand what is mukhya and what is gauna, what is important and what is not important. But many of us have something called Duryodhana syndrome. Do you all know Duryodhana, right? So once Vidura took him aside and gave him his peace of mind. That peace of mind is called Vidura Niti. That's a very profound advice that he gave. Before starting that, he asked Duryodhana, "Hey Duryodhana, you also have gone through the education system. You also are educated with the most profound knowledge. Why is it that your actions do not reflect that knowledge in your day-to-day life?" So to that, Duryodhana responds. It's one of the most off-quoted shlokas of Duryodhana. Usually you don't quote him. You know what Duryodhana said? No, nobody quotes him. But this is one of those rare opportunities when to highlight the heights of stupidity, you have to quote Duryodhana. So Duryodhana says, "Janami dharmam nachame pravritti. Janami adharmam nachame nivritti. Kenapi devena hridisthitena." He says, "Janami dharmam." Don't teach me dharma and adharma. What is righteous and what is not righteous. What is lawful and what is not lawful. What is good and what is bad. Don't teach me that. I know it. Janami dharmam. The flaw is, I don't know how to practice that dharma in life. Janami adharmam. I also know what is unrighteous, but I do not know how to pull myself out of it. And instead of taking that responsibility, the onus on himself, he says, what to do? Kenapi devena hridisthitena. God is making me do this. Whatever I do in life, who is responsible for it? Whether I do it knowingly, unknowingly, consciously, unconsciously, who ends up as the responsible party for whatever I do? I may love to blame my parents. I may love to blame my president. I'm talking about the recent one. Or the one prior to the previous one. I would love to blame the society for my poor choice. But at the end of the day, it is not they who are responsible. It is I who is responsible for every decision in my life. We cannot blame it on some external factor, like Duryodhana did. Kenapi devena hridisthitena. Some God is sitting in and he is making me do it. In the field of activity, there is nobody from the external that can force us to do something. Can I force you to do something? Can anybody force anybody to do something? Unless you feel necessary to do it. In college, you goof off something and then you cut a sorry figure in front of your parents. Say, what to do? My friends made me do it. Duh. What happened to your thinking? My parents used to, I was not a very promising child. I had my own share. And my father especially had this constant dialogue. Somehow whenever at home, though I am from Telugu background, whenever I was to be scolded, the scolding was always in Hindi. And my father would say, तेरी बुद्धि क्या घास चरने गई थी? It's like, usually it is the cow or the sheep that graze on grass. Did your buddhi become like a cow or a sheep? And was it grazing on the grass? Why didn't you apply it? And I thought I had a smart aleck answer. And I got what today I can say politically as topspin. Heavy topspin. Do you understand topspin? So I said, Papa, I have only this much buddhi. If I end up using that also, then I'll not have it when I have to actually use it. So I'm saving it for a later day. See, Vidya, whenever it is applied, knowledge when it is applied, it never reduces, but instead it grows. So the Subhashita says, Na choraharyam, na rajyabhadyam, na bhratrubhadyam, na cha bharakari. If you have wealth, you're always scared that somebody may steal it from you. So you have heavy barricaded, or what do you call those big things in the banks? The wall, the safe. And many of us love watching people rob that. Have you seen Italian Job? Did you like it? Was it awesome? Okay. Ocean series. I don't know how many there were. 11, 12, 13? Okay, Ocean 11, Ocean 12, Ocean 13. The biggest, most unbreakable ones. They break it with ease. So however you want to protect it, there will be somebody smarter than that to snatch it, rob it. If the robbers have not robbed it, then the state would say, pay tax. Rajya bhajyam. And whatever is left after that, as much your wealth increases, your relatives also seemingly increase. That's why they are called relatives, related to the wealth that you grow. Bhratrubhadyam, you have to share it with these relatives. And if not, you are trying to hide it and carry it everywhere. Bharakari. But what is Vidya, knowledge? It is unlike any of these wealths. Vyaye krute vardhata eva nityam. Vidyadhanam sarvadhana pradhanam. Vidya is that kind of wealth that the more you give, the more it expands. that knowledge which expands our understanding, that knowledge which expands our horizon, that discrimination, that wisdom which gives us clarity to perceive through any tough situation, such one is called Viveka. But I tried explaining it in a very gross sense of externality. The subtlest aspect of this Viveka is when we can understand its application in Drg and Drishya. Now, what is this Viveka and its application in Drg and Drishya? That we will see next week. And don't give me that look. It's a cliffhanger, good one. So we'll continue with the first shloka next week. But before we end, please repeat that first shloka after me so that I can claim. No, I have started the text. It's on page 1. Rupam drishyam lochanam drik. Lochanam drik. Tadrishyam druktu manasam. Drishyadhi vrittaya sakshi. Drugeva nat drishyate. These first 3 shlokas are amazing. But we will be amazed next week. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Harihi Om Shri Gurubhyo Namaha. Harihi Om. Sridhar.